Hey, what's up everybody? Shawn Furey here. Just wanted to do a little video. I haven't done one in a few weeks. I've been super busy working on my Hero Training School and Hero Support Network programs and life coaching concepts, and trying to establish a social support system for people that don't have one because they're trying to create positive changes in their life. And I just actually got it set up live. If you want to check it out, it's www.herosupportnetwork.com. I've set it up so that it's $20 a month, and that gives you access to a conference call number, and that way you'll get access to someone like myself, a situation improvement strategist. It's kind of a new form of life coaching that I'm trying to invent. So, you know, instead of just focusing on your day-to-day life, goal setting and stuff, we're looking at your whole life as a system, your current life, not your past and stuff, but it's where you are now and where you want to go in the future, and teaching people to get in touch with their creative side and begin to create the world that they want to live in, right? One that's pro-human, because that's kind of where I was going with this message, is that so many people work so hard at creating a false life. And what I mean by false life is that they set their life circumstances, their day-to-day life circumstances up in a way that will accommodate the mask that they wear to protect themselves from the possibility of rejection or failure or risk of loss, right? Of abandonment, of being hurt or abused or neglected or bullied. Because when they were younger, typically, is what I find, most people grew up in either families or school settings or church settings that were oppressive, right? Let's be honest here, people. Can I get an amen? You know what oppression is, right? What's in the news a lot lately. People are starting to wake up and get that concept. Oppression simply means that someone or some group is constantly attempting to put themselves in a position of dominance over you or your group or another group, right? So it's kind of like tribalism versus, it's a tribe versus the other tribe, and one has to go down in order for the other one to be around, right? It's this idea that's kind of an illusion that we can't all get along, right? As Rodney King said back in the early 90s. In other words, we need to move from this tribalism concept to a concept of universality, of community, in which our common denominator is what is the equalizer between us. That's our humanity. We're all human, right? And I would even extend that to those of you who are a little bit more advanced along the path toward enlightenment. This goes towards all living beings, right? Sure, maybe you still eat plants and animals and stuff, I get it. But you don't have to treat them inhumanely, right? You don't have to accept that they get dominated during their life, right? People could treat them with respect and dignity just like you treat yourself and your family. But first and foremost, I think human beings need to learn how to treat each other with dignity. And you know what? That starts with learning how to treat yourself with dignity. So many people have a hard time with that. And so they've been bullied or mistreated as kids precisely because of their humanness, because they tried to be themselves publicly, right? And their oppressor didn't like that, right? Their oppressor was threatened by that, because the oppressor wants to be the one on top of the social pecking order, rather than creating a sense of community and teamwork in which everyone can flourish. I use an apple tree model for that, where all the trees are growing to their full potential, and they all produce good fruit and exist in a kind of community, right? There's a very non-violent imagery there. In the movies, you have the Justice League, the X-Men, the Avengers. They're always side by side, standing next to each other on their poster for whatever movie. They're always a team, but they're all individuals, right? They're autonomous, but they're also into community. So it's not about getting rid of your sense of self, and it's not about dominating the other selves around. It's about having a self and choosing to work with others because you both are selves, right? and yourselves matter. So instead of having a false life because you're wearing a mask to protect your real self, which is afraid of getting bullied and abused for being yourself, instead of doing that, why don't we do what the ancient gurus and scriptures said and just let your light shine, right? Be yourself. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Be okay with being who you are. God damn it. And just fucking be yourself, people. Excuse my French. So, why not? Why not just be yourself, right? What's so hard about that? Well, it's the most scary thing for people. If you read Brene Brown's book, Rising Strong, you know that people are afraid of being vulnerable, of taking a risk. It's scary, right? People think vulnerability means weakness, but it really just means exposure to risk. And guess what? Life is a risk. Reality is a leading cause of stress. This is why I say to choose the heroic way, because you can't be authentically yourself everywhere you are, and that's the only way to be alive. And to reach your full potential is to be your real self. And you can't do that without having to be vulnerable, without taking a risk of rejection, of loss, of being hurt. Being hurt is part of being alive. That's why we have emotions, so we can cry and we can express ourselves and get that toxic energy out of our system when our circumstances are toxic and have a toxic effect on us, right? Our body does this little magical thing where it turns your energy into tears. That's great. So you're going to be yourself, you're going to be vulnerable, and guess what? To be vulnerable requires courage. You have to be brave. Courage is the opposite of conformity, as one of my buddies in the heroism world says on Twitter, Dr. Scott Allison. Maybe he got that. I think he got that from somebody else too, but I forget who it was. So don't be a conformist, right? Don't be a coward. Don't be afraid. Don't hide in plain sight. So many of us spend our entire lives hiding in plain sight, even hiding from ourselves, because we have come to believe that our mask is our real self, right? Some people will tell you that this is what we mean by ego, right? That ego is really your false self. It's who you think you are, but it's really not the real you, as Jim Carrey's been talking about lately, and everybody's been wondering if he's nuts. Maybe he is, I don't know. But he's been talking about how there really is no me. It's a concept. So I would suggest that instead of getting rid of yourself, like, I'm okay being Shawn, that's great. I got, spiky hair, and I'm got a big voice, and I like to think I know a lot, and I want to share it with the world, right? Nothing wrong with that. But I do think of myself as being in a spirit mode rather than an ego mode. My ego is small. My ego wants to think that I'm more important than others, right? Or that I can fix people, that they need me to save them because they're incompetent. That's the ego, which really is hiding what really is going on when I'm doing that, which is that I might feel sad that I can't save people, that people are so dysfunctional that they're willingly going to their doom, right? And that's difficult to watch. So stepping into spirit mode, though, your more divine aspect of yourself, let's say, the higher self in you, your observer, the part of you that doesn't change over time but observes everything, from that mode, you can observe and feel this grand sense of life and aliveness in which you don't struggle to control everybody in your life and every little thing that happens, because you understand that your sense of self is not connected to whether or not people mock you or don't believe in you or make fun of you or don't want to go along the journey with you, because you realize that your sense of self is actually connected to the grand scheme of things, the web of life, the larger divine aspect of reality, whatever you want to say. We're a spiritual being having a human experience, maybe. So I guess my message today is I'm just feeling a little intense for a minute there about the word ferocity. I heard a guy talking about that on YouTube. And it got me thinking that we need to really get ferocious about our lives, right? Not about, I'm not talking about being violent and scary, but I'm talking about ferociously pursuing life and aliveness. And, don't spend your whole life trapped in this mask because you're afraid that someone might screw you over or hurt you, or maybe there'll be a conflict, God forbid, right? Conflict is going to happen. You're alive, right? Think back to the dinosaurs, right? The dinosaur mom had to protect her eggs from the T-Rex. People were getting, killed constantly in battles in the Middle Ages and all throughout history. Invasions and stuff. People were raising kids on their own in the middle of winter and crossing the United States, pioneers, Native Americans, right, fighting to keep their lives. Life is not easy. Life is hard. Life is a battlefield if you're alive, right? If you want to have your full life and aliveness, you have to be willing to fight for it in a way that is humane, right? Socially appropriate, teamwork oriented. Because otherwise you're not heroic, right? It's not heroic to just stand idly by and let bad things happen and to give up on your birthright to be who you are, right? The lion doesn't apologize for its lionness. The rose doesn't apologize for its roseness. The eagle doesn't apologize for its eagleness. Why do you apologize for being yourself? Why do you try to make yourself small and hide because you're afraid that other people might not like it? Or maybe you think that you need their approval, but you really don't, and that can be difficult to accept, but it's liberating when you finally realize that you can just step on the gas and drive full speed towards your house, right? Full throttle heroism. That's what I'm talking about. So I would encourage you today, take the mask off, turn on the heart light, start noticing what's going on, start to engage with others socially, build rapport, maintain rapport, and begin to intervene when you see something wrong in your life, even the little things, right? What can you do to make your world a better place for yourself and for the people around you? Let's start there and see if we can get, a few 100,000 people to start making their own corner of the world a little more heroic. This is what I call the heroification of our daily lives. When you commit yourself to self-improvement, right, continuous growth, continuous self-improvement, and continuous situation improvement, right? This doesn't mean that you're unsatisfied with your good life that you already have. It means that you accept that if you don't take a proactive role in trying to make your life better or in trying to keep the good life you have, it'll go away from you, right? Entropy is what I'm getting at. Entropy is a law of the universe. It's decay. Things break apart if they're not maintained, right? So heroism involves proactively moving towards a goal, but also holding your ground and protecting what you've built. So I guess I just want to encourage you to tap into your warrior spirit and the divine side of yourself, and ask yourself if you care about what's happening in your world and in your life. Because if you don't care, chances are you're not operating from your natural self. Because think of it this way, like the mask doesn't have feelings, right? The mask is paper mache. It's plastic, it's fake, it's false, it's a veneer that you hide behind so that you can avoid conflict or rejection or pain. But your soul feels pain. The real you, your spirit, your inner man, your inner woman experiences that hurt, right? That's what you're trying to block out. So stop trying to block it out and instead try to create a world that doesn't cause you so much pain. Instead of escaping the world through drugs and alcohol or suicide or you know, passive-aggressive suicide and getting yourself killed or something, or drinking yourself to death, or... I'm just speaking from the life coach point of view, right? Nothing going on here with mental health or substance abuse, just life coach. That's kind of what I'm trying to get across, that it doesn't have to be this way. You can make it better, but you have to choose to embrace your inner heroic self and begin to heroify your life, right? You were born with this power, and question is, are you going to use it? The power to influence your world, the power to make your life better and other people's lives better, you know, simply by knowing where you're directing your action, your behavior, your focus. And I guess that's it. So check me out on the Hero Support Network, and we can get together and talk about this at night. I got a group going from 7 to 8 p.m. Every night I'm on the phone with between 7 and 10 people. Or it should say between 1 and 10 people, because if there's no one there about me, then it'll just be me. But it's first come, first served. It's $20 a month. Just doing some life coaching type stuff, getting people to think about a plan for the future. I call it a hero support plan. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to have happen? And develop the skills and life management style that you need to develop in order to make it to your goal, right? Take the next step on your agenda. Some of my steps of my progress toward my goal have taken me 2 years to take the next step, because I was stuck. I was stuck for some different reasons, right? Trying to figure out if it was okay for me to take the next step. And I finally got unstuck thanks to the help from some people giving me some hero support. That's Batman head Alfred, Bond head Q, and the Bond head Q, Batman head Alfred, and the Angels head Charlie, right? So that's what I mean by hero support. There's always someone that can help you to stay the course, to develop heroically, and to heroify your life. And that means working as a team with others while you are demonstrating your own agency or ability to start and complete a task, right? If you ever started a task and then gave up or quit, that was a sign of lacking agency, right? Heroes have agency. That's why they're called heroes, because they persevere. They make it through to the end of the story. They achieve their goal, and they often slide in bruised and battered and bleeding and hurting and crying, but they make it. And that's the reality, right? It's not easy. But that's the whole point of being heroic, is if you really want to live your life and you really want to have a good life, you have to stop half-assing it. You have to stop trying to fit in and kiss butt and be an opportunist. Don't be an opportunist who's just trying to get ahead and you betray whoever you need to betray in order to trade up to the next better thing, right? Start being authentically yourself, take a risk, set a goal, develop a vision for the future, and develop yourself and your situation in a way that is going to maximize your ability to move toward your goal, right? You have this power. It's time to start using it. Have a great day and a great life.